all in my mind. I was always a bit of an odd kid. I had a few friends but nothing to write home about because I preferred to spend most of my time alone anyway. Burying myself in a good book is where I could normally be found. Seeing and feeling things that didn't make any sense to me was nothing new because I had that ability for as long as I could remember. It never really bothered me. These things seemed to bring me comfort at my lowest. My earliest memory of my shadow friends was as a very small child. They would play games with me or just hover around in the corner of my room as if they were watching over me. They started to become my best friends and I didn't want them to leave even if I had the ability to do that. For the longest time I just assumed that everyone had the capability to see and feel these things like I did until one day I casually mentioned these people to my parents. They looked at me like I was crazy and completely dismissed anything I had to say. "It's all in your mind." Everyone always told me it was all just in my mind due to an overactive imagination. My parents were the worst for this. They refused to acknowledge that all, or any, of my experiences were something real. Getting told I needed to go play and socialize with the few friends I had became an everyday thing. After seeing multiple therapists and counselors I started to become increasingly frustrated by the phrase "it's all in your mind." It's all everyone would say to me and I knew these instances weren't just a manifestation of a lonely boy. So I became even more reclusive. Experiences began to heighten over the course of those next few months and I began to feel a sense of power and control that has never washed over me before. Usually this was accompanied by the visitation of my shadow friends. Objects would begin to respond to my presence when I was extremely stressed out, vibrating and humming. It was as if these items were feeding off of my energy. At this point I knew my parents thought I was absolutely insane. Anyway, so of course I never mentioned the increase in activity and my overall sense of power. This newfound power began to turn into all outrage that my parents, and everyone else for that matter, had spent all of this time doubting me, putting me down, making me feel less than. I was going to show them once and for all that I was not to be messed with anymore. That these things were not just inside my mind. Focusing all of my energy and intent on them, I stared into their unbelieving eyes. Watching them become uncomfortable was extremely satisfying. They were finally going to get what they deserved. Then, it began to happen. I watched as my parents screamed in horror that they were slowly dissolving, melting into the ether of nothingness, slowly vanishing without a trace. Darkness. Now they're safe somewhere, they can never question me again. My mind,